we forget that our children, our students are getting older, and we may be being disrespectful to them. We may be condescending to them or saying things to them that you would say to a baby, not giving them the respect of their age and their experience. And it does sound weird, but then we get into some murky waters where they don't want to show respect for us. So we want to acknowledge their age, their experience, and we want to show them some respect so that they can show us respect in return. Hi, thank you so much for joining the Falling for Learning podcast. I am TD Flenaugh. We have this podcast to help parents and caregivers with having the resources, strategies, and tools needed to make sure that their children are on track for learning and to stay on track for success. Hi, thank you so much for joining us. Today we're going to talk about how to help our teens and tweens navigate how to show respect for others. Before we get into that topic, of course, I'm just going to check in, let you know what's going on with me. And today I have been able to have some alone time at home, which is new. Everyone in the house had an activity or something to do. And so I had some alone time and I had lots of errands to run and lots of things to do. But I did have some time alone at home by myself, and that does not happen very often. And it's always like a little sweet treat to have some alone time to yourself. So let's get into it. When we're talking about respect, this is a very important topic because, again, if we're not showing respect, it could get kids into a lot of trouble. And so we really need to make sure we help them navigate this. And what we're going to do is start with the definition. So the definition according to Oxford Languages, so let me consult the notes, okay? A noun, or it could be used as a verb. So putting that into action, right? So respect, the noun form of respect is used according to due regard for the feelings, wishes, and rights or traditions of others. So showing respect. Another form it could be used as a noun has to do with a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. In the verb form, the action form, it is to admire someone or something deeply as a result of their abilities, qualities, or achievement. So, right away, we're thinking about it as a concept, a noun, and then we're thinking of it as a verb, the action. So, being mindful of others' feelings, traditions, all of that. Okay. And then when it's in action, it may cause you to um, think about what someone else needs or how to treat them in a kind way. So, respect, again, is what I hear a lot of times, especially in our current times. People talk about how respect is earned. And a lot of people have different definition of what respect is. For example, when people have a language barrier, sometimes they don't understand the certain words that they use are bad words or words that are not appropriate for certain situations, and that becomes an issue. But it's part of a teaching moment for parents and teachers to say, you know what, we don't usually use the word shut up. We want people to be quiet in a respectful way. We will use the word, we will use a phrase or something to say, please be quiet. Can you please quiet down? But saying shut up is not appropriate. Now, is it a bad word, like a curse word? Not really. Depending on, who says it. But mostly it's not, they're not going to, you know, filter out when it says shut up or something, like you get banned from YouTube or something like that. But it's not a respectful term, right? Telling someone to shut up is not respectful. But the same the same words, or like the same meaning you're trying to convey by saying, can you please be quiet, or can you quiet down, please, will give a whole different feeling from it. And basically, that you have a more respectful way of explaining something. So I'm getting into like some really nitty gritty when it comes to respect, because a lot of times as parents, we forget that our children, our students are getting older, and we may be being disrespectful to them. We may be condescending to them or saying things to them that you would say to a baby, not giving them the respect of their age and their experience. And it does sound weird, but then we get into some murky waters where they don't want to show respect for us. So we want to acknowledge their age, their experience, and we want to show them some respect so that they can show us respect in return. Now, of course, just because we're their parent or their teacher, a lot of times we think we know we earn and deserve respect. It is true. I believe that teachers and parents deserve respect just on virtue of who they are. However, if we don't teach our kids this, then it does come where they're being disrespectful towards us. So we do have to do a lot of modeling for them, especially in this new youth culture. They don't always understand what respect is. And it may just be a lot of familiarity, right, with social media and all of that. It's very easy to see people all the time acting out in ways that we wouldn't really see people do if we didn't see them outside of the home. But with social media, it's like all the walls are down and people are in their house just acting the way they are. They're trying to entertain people and post it online. And so the lines get blurry with respect. And we need to keep that in mind, that our kids may not know what is respectful. And I'll give you an example. I was in an office with various people sharing the office together, and there was a young group that came to work or volunteer or whatever, and they at sometimes they were invited by someone else in the work office, and those two young people who were early college age kids, they played a movie aloud on I think it was an iPad or something like that, and they played it, the whole movie, out loud as I was working. They didn't say to me, because they didn't come with me, they didn't say to me, is this okay? Is this too loud? We know people can have, earbuds, different things, so they could quiet it down. They didn't say anything to me. So, from my viewpoint, that was very disrespectful. But looking at them and the way they interacted, I didn't think they were trying to be disrespectful, but that is disrespectful. Coming into someone's space, listening to music or a show or something loudly while people are trying to work is disrespectful, because you don't know what I'm working on. You don't know what I'm doing, not even checking in on me. It was a lot. And I didn't really say anything to them. I left and I did different things. Um, it's kind of weird. But yeah, the person who brought them in as well didn't say, oh, these people are going to be working here for this. And, so I feel like that was not respectful. But was it not respectful in the way that I got really mad? No, but it just showed a lack of consideration. And when we think about respect, that's one thing, but to take it to a deeper level, or even showing more professionalism, is consideration. So we think about consideration, we think about empathy, putting ourselves in someone else's shoes, and actually supporting them and what they need. And that's very hard for people to do. And I'm going to say it often, and I'm going to repeat it, um, that we have to model for young people what to do because they don't know what to do if we're not showing them. And a lot of times when we're not thinking of others, when we're very stressed out and we're acting in ways that may be irrational or not clear why you're upset, then our kids, you'll see them acting out that same thing. So making your thinking public is something that we do as teachers, saying, you know what? Um, Mariah is sleeping right now. Let's check and see if I can have my AirPods on. Let's see if we can, check in with her to see if this is too loud. I think she's working on her homework, so let's make sure he's working on a report for work. So showing what to do, modeling it, but also explaining why you're doing what you're doing. I don't want to disturb him while he's working, so I'm not going to have this music on. And will you be done about 8 o'clock so we could start this? Or letting you know we're going to be done. We're going to have to start this at 5 o'clock. So will you think you'll be done by that time? Or do we need to do it in another location? Or maybe helping them have a chance to find another location to work in if you have to be loud with whatever activity you're doing. So, thinking about if I was studying my homework, I would need a quiet place, or if I was trying to get sleep, I would need this. And then, you know, thinking about how to support that person in your actions. So, is another level of respect, right? Actually putting yourself in their shoes, considering their feelings, their emotions, looking at it from their perspective. Because in your perspective, you're just ready to dance and, play music or whatever, listen to a video, play a video game, listen to a video, right? Whatever, watch a movie. This is what you want to do. This is perfect thing to do while you're doing a task. Maybe I'm folding clothes. It's perfect for me to like listen to music. But if someone else, it's too loud for them, I can have some ways I could check in with them and we could make sure the music isn't too loud. I can make sure I close the door, whatever it is. Do it after they're finished. So it's important for us to think about this because when we don't think about it, we have a lot of miscommunication and people are upset with each other because we don't have the same perspectives. That's why it's very important to ask people. And teenagers, because they're so busy, they're going through hormotions. You know what I said, that mix of emotions and hormones all together. They don't always know or are thinking about things, so it's very important that we talk through why we're doing this, why we're being considerate, how we be considerate, and then actually show them that we're being considerate. I didn't want to disturb you, so I waited until. I didn't want you to feel disrespected in front of your friends, so I waited until here to ask you about the situation. Whatever it is you're doing to be considerate, explain it, explain your thinking, and show it, right? Very, very important because when people feel like they've been disrespected, this is a slippery slope when we're thinking about them navigating in the education world, when we think about them navigating in the professional world and in life, right? A lot of people get further by showing respect and showing consideration when they need something done, right? And sometimes you need people. If I'm behind on my bill, I need help. They All over the United States, 75% of children don't know how to write well. Add that to the fact that so many people out there are trying to silence the voices of those who have been oppressed and trying to prevent them from telling their story. Who's going to tell your story? If your child doesn't know how to write well, I have 2 books to address this issue, the Rewrite Method and the Rewrite Method Workbook. Make sure that parents know what to do, that educators know what to do to get their children to write better and just not write better, but love to write. Make sure that your next generation could tell their story and they won't be silenced. Go to fallingforlearning.com today to purchase your set. Join us for Well Educated Wednesdays every Wednesday on Instagram Live at Falling for Learning. It is a free parent question and answer session where parents can ask questions, learn about resources, strategies, and tips to make sure their children are on track for learning and stay on track for success. That's every Wednesday on Instagram Live at Falling for Learning. We look forward to seeing you and helping the next generation thrive. It might be a little bit more considerate of me rather than me come in and speak to them disrespectfully, use words that are inappropriate. All of those things come back to bite you in the butt if you're not actually using them in a way that is thinking of others, right? Being empathetic towards others, right? Your problem is not their problem, but if you are showing that you care about their feelings, they're more likely to show that they care about your feelings, and then take that into consideration and try to support you. But a lot of us, when we get into certain type of feelings, and of course our teens do it, and we as adults may do it too, we're, snippy, we have an attitude, and then we expect people to help us or us to be able to navigate what we're doing, and it doesn't work. And then, for teenagers, this could be really bad because they're more subject to certain punishments. And again, when we're trying to navigate how to get our children on track for learning and to stay on track for success, teachers are human too. So if we are being rude to a teacher, being snippy with a teacher, they may be less likely to help us. And they're humans. They might have just been embattled with all kinds of things going on in their own lives, and they're not able to emotionally navigate helping you during lunchtime because they need a break. But if someone's being considerate towards them, being respectful towards them, then that gives them energy that they can keep moving on. I'll give a little bit more time to you because I see that you care. I see that you care about my feelings. So it's important. And it's really important for us parents to think about how we can show levels of respect for our children because they're getting older, and to not treat them like babies and to acknowledge the progress that they're making, right? So it's really, really important to talk to them about respect and trust. I want to show respect for you by doing this, this, and this, so that they could think about, well, okay, I'm going to show respect for my mom by actually coming home and all of that. And even when they're in trouble, trying to say, well, I don't want to yell at you, or, I don't want to call you names, or whatever it is that maybe you have done that's hurtful, or maybe adults in the past have done to you as you were growing up. You want to think about how you felt and think about a better move to make. Not the same things that happened to you. Think about it. Again, empathize with how you felt and think about how you can make a different move, how you can communicate in a different way, using different methods, using different strategies, so that your kid is working with you and you're collaborating in their development. So, very important. So, we talked about definitions. We talked a little about what it looks like, but we'll talk about different situations. So there's different situations that call for respect. So obviously, I can respect you, again, by saying, calling you a particular title, Ms. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, rather than just calling you by your first name. That's a level of respect. As well, adults, parents, educators, right, caregivers, making sure where you calling the children a name that they want to be called. When they were younger, maybe they were okay being called boo-boo. But now they're 15, they don't want to be called boo-boo anymore. And maybe that's, you love calling them boo-boo, but they don't want to be called that. So if they're saying, I want to be called Dave now, call them Dave, right? They don't want to be called boo-boo anymore. Respect it. And some of us, of course, may have children that are dealing with identity issues, and not just teens that are LGBTQ are dealing with identity issues. Lots of teens are dealing with identity issues. Are they going to be the smart kid? Are they going to be the jock? Are they going to be the cheerleader? Like, what are they going to be doing? Who are they defining themselves as, right? So they are dealing with identity, and so they may take on nicknames or whatever, and they might be getting involved in some activities now that are going to directly feed them into the dreams becoming reality, right? A lot of people we know that are famous now started bands, started podcasts, radio shows, singing, whatever, when they were a particular age, when they were a teenager, when they were middle schoolers, and they took on personas or names, and that helped them to define who they were and to live out their dreams or their goals. So again, even though they're a little boo-boo, respect them. Respect whatever it is that they're doing. And a lot of stuff looks messy when it starts. Just because it looks like foolishness to you or sounds like foolishness, you never know. 3 billion people, 3 million people could be into that. And, one of my podcast coach really reminds me that even though you may not like it, there are 8 billion people in this world, and having 100,000 people follow that person could help them, make a career out of something. So you don't have to like it. And that doesn't mean it's not good for that 100,000 people, for that million people. And, the rest of the 8 billion people don't care about it, think it's trash, doesn't matter. So please respect what your children are trying to do. Now, of course, they might flit around and do this and do that, but try to support them as much as you can, right? And something as simple as calling them the name that they want to be called is free. Doesn't cost you anything. Yeah. So another level of respect is getting things done, right? Trusting them to take care of certain tasks. So this is so huge. As they get older, they need more responsibility. And part of respecting them is trusting them to get something done, like not nag them. Give them a specific time to get it done. Give them a specific time. And then, if they don't get it done by that certain time, you can give them a consequence, but you don't have to bother them because they haven't gotten it done, and the deadline hasn't even come up yet. So give them a time, leave them alone. That's some respect. Trust them to get it done by 10 a.m. on Saturday if that's when you want it done. And make sure you're giving them a time that works for you. Don't tell them 10 a.m. Saturday if you really wanted it done 8 o'clock on Friday. And then you start bothering them at 8 p.m. on Friday about it. That doesn't make sense. So make sure you negotiate the time, it makes sense, and you leave them alone. And give them consequences if you need to, if they're not getting what they need done. But try to respect them by giving them clear boundaries about what they need to do, and don't bug them. Okay? But give them consequences, because those consequences that matter to them will be louder and make more of an impact than any yelling that you could do for them. Maybe you disrespect them and say they're irresponsible or whatever. That just ruins the relationship. So you don't have to do a lot of talking. Make sure they get it done by a certain time. And then if they don't get it done, say this is what's going to happen. If you don't get it done, you're not going to be able to go here. You're not going to be able to do there. And just follow through with those consequences. Shouldn't be a lot of arguing and fussing with them. That shows disrespect for your children. And then in turn, your children will be disrespecting you. So again, modeling them what to do, explaining, I don't want to argue with you. I want this done by 10 a.m. on Saturday. And I'm going to trust you to get this done. You are now 14 years old. You're 13, you're 12. You can do this. And I believe that you can get it done. And you may want to tell them ahead of time, if you don't get this done, guess what's going to happen? Let them know. It's okay. And if they don't get it done, make sure you follow it up. And another level of respect, right, is showing admiration for other people or for different things. And so that's another way that we might inadvertently disrespect our children. If they love Beyonce or Taylor Swift or whoever it is that you may think is ridiculous and is not talented and is, the worst, do not disrespect them by putting down the person that they like. If their music comes on, you drown out the music with, a ugly rendition of how they're doing it. Oh, foolishness that some people do. And some of us have done that as parents, and maybe our parents did it to us, but, show respect. And in turn, when your music comes on that they think is trash and old school or whatever, maybe they won't do the same, right? Just respect other people's, what they like, and don't talk about it in a negative way. It's their choice about what to like, and later on they may hate it. Let me tell you, when I was like 12, I really loved I'll Be Sure. And one of the people in the neighborhood was like, he's terrible, And I was like, he was probably like 19 in the neighborhood, like, he's dumb, And I was like, he's wonderful, And I could look back now and think, I'm not an I'll Be Sure fan. At 12, I love that song, and I don't even know what the song was. But now I'm like, no. But, whatever. Someone still out there loves him, and let them love him. It's not for me. That is for someone out there. And it was for me at that moment in time. So again, respect what they have going on. And don't try to make them feel bad for whatever it is that they're going on. If you think it's childish, if you think it's horrible, whatever, just respect that. And in turn, that will show respect for you. And be very vocal about how you want to respect the kids that you are raising into people, adults that'll be responsible for the world and be responsible for themselves, and maybe even responsible for you one day. And we look at our teenagers and we're like, he might be responsible for, she might be responsible. Yeah, they might be. And I just want to tell you that they do grow up, and the things that we have taught them, modeled for them, shown them, it does come back to us. It does. And it could either be very positive or it could be negative. So the other thing we want to talk about with respect is, and we've talked a lot about, teens respecting their parents and parents respecting their teens, but this is another thing. Teens are watching the respect or the disrespect that you're giving to others. When you go into a store and you're disrespectful to people just because you can be, when you argue with your sister and call her names or whatever, and there's a lot of adult sisters that don't get along, that is modeling for the kids, even though you're not expressly saying, or maybe you are because you get mad and you just go off or whatever, I don't know. That rubs off. And sometimes what I've seen in adult children is that adult children end up disrespecting their parents because their parents have taught them that it's okay to be disrespectful to people. And they might be being disrespectful to you when you actually need them. You need them to be doing something for you, and you've modeled being disrespectful, and you've been disrespectful to your children and haven't respected their needs and their feelings and haven't been empathetic and considerate, then they're not respectful of you when you need them. And so a lot of times it goes full circle where we're taking care of our children and we're our children's everything as a baby. And then later on, when we're older and we are in need of care and our bodies are breaking down, we need our children. And if we have not taught them to be respectful, to be considerate, and we're going to get back disrespect, inconsiderate behavior. And so again, I'm always going to be repeating some of these same things. Like, if we are not modeling it, if we're not teaching it, if we're not talking to them about it, then oftentimes we're teaching them other things, and they are going to be reflecting back to us those negative behaviors, that negative energy, and those negative habits and actions that they've seen us do over and over again. Our actions speak a lot louder than words. If we just say we love our kids, but we're not really being considerate about them, we're not following up with them on things that they care about and being supportive of them, then they may not be supportive of us later on. And it's one of the saddest things to see. Unfortunately, I've seen it in action, up close and in person with family members. It's not pretty. So please respect your children, show them respect, model for them being respectful to others, being a respectful, considerate person overall, so that they could just be wonderful people. And that if there's ever a need for us to depend on our children, that they have the skills, the strategies, the resources, the knowledge, the habit of doing what's right. Thank you so much again for joining the Falling for Learning podcast. Please like, subscribe, and or follow. Thanks again for supporting the Falling for Learning podcast. New episodes go live every Saturday at 5 p.m. You can watch us on youtube.com at Falling for Learning, or listen on all major podcast platforms such as Apple, Google, Audible, Spotify, and much more. For more resources, visit fallinginlovewithlearning.com. We really appreciate you. Have a wonderful week.